Podcast is live.
Show time. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
I'm good. I got to tell you, it's pretty cool to be on this side of things.
Yeah, especially with me because you prepare to the nuts and bolts. I don't do any preparation because
I know, like, where are my questions? Why didn't you email me questions, Chris?
this is just an excuse for me to talk to people because I miss seeing people. So give me an excuse. Let's have these conversations and catch up, and let's let other people in on them because why not?
Dude, I love it. I love it. I think.
What does that sign behind your head say?
It's pronounced Huga.
Okay.
And it's the Danish art of well-being, coziness, and contentment. And then the slide up there, I don't think you can see it, but it says it is what it is. So
is that your mantra?
Kind of. Yes, it is what it is. Yeah.
That's a pretty good mantra. I like that one. It's kind of like a degree of acceptance that comes with it. It really is all about acceptance, isn't it?
Yes, very much. I mean, there are certain things that we can control and certain things in our lives that we can't. So it's a good reminder. And sometimes I get in the trap of actually wanting to control everything. And so it's a good reminder for me to say, it is what it is. You know, I went through some personal things last year and it is what it is. So I've got to pick up the pieces and do what I can with what I have. And that's what I'm in control of and what I'm responsible for.
Are you familiar with the Serenity Prayer?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you familiar with the shortened version of the Serenity Prayer?
Perhaps not. Go on.
Fuck it.
Okay. That's a rated R version of it is what it is.
Yeah. It's all essentially saying the same thing. Yes, how have you been?
Good overall. Overall. Yeah, absolutely. Man, again, at the end of the day, like last night on Facebook, I read this really, the Columbus Dispatch posted a story about, it was just heart-wrenching of a daughter losing her father. And so again, it's when you see stuff like that, my mild inconveniences in my life right now, that's not what's important. But to be real, I mean, there are days like everyone else, I do think, we're going through stages of grief in terms of it is becoming, I'm more self-aware every day that this is going to be longer than I thought in terms of we don't just go out of our doors May 1st and everything is back to normal. I don't feel like I can just go up and hug everyone because that's who I am. So it's kind of coming to terms with that. So there are days that are heavy. And even though we're very fortunate, Chris, you and I both, we can continue to work and engage and do things like this. I do think our feelings are valid. I mean, we're still going through, emotional things that are unchartered. Like we've never been here. I miss my family. I miss, I don't know. There is loss. We are experiencing loss regardless.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a new feeling for a lot of people. And I think the challenge is to have those experiences and those feelings right now and not run from them.
Yes.
We're being forced to sit with ourselves.
That's right.
And there's only so much escapism that we can do when you're being forced to sit with yourself. Obviously we can still self-medicate, we can do those things, but we're also being challenged to find ways to go deeper. I'm curious what you're finding about yourself that is maybe new or something that you're excited about that's coming out of this for you.
I keep getting this visual about this time. First of all, I think apart from the health issues, this is a blessing in disguise. But I get this visual of just kind of like somebody holding you down for your own good. That sounds odd saying it out loud, but the harder you fight, the worse it will be. So I'm just trying to be still, reevaluate my practices every morning, my morning routines, Kind of what you said earlier, pressing into those feelings. Again, I'm living in a new normal for myself personally. And so this time has forced me to be aware of those feelings, address those feelings. Making sure, again, like I'm somebody who I'm making sure everyone else is okay. And a lot of times I need to take my own advice. I'm really good at giving it, but sometimes not so good at taking it. And so I find myself, Katie, take your own advice. And honestly, connecting with other people right now in this really purposeful way with people that really, like, my friends have really risen to the top during this time. The consistent reach outs and things like that. And just thinking of creative ways, Chris, to regularly tell people you love that they mean something to you. I thought the other day, why don't I take some time and just, I almost don't want to say this out loud because I don't want my family to hear it, but writing a letter, just handwriting a letter and saying the things, recalling memories that you haven't actually verbally told a loved one that you think, oh, I have all this time, I can do it some other time. About handwriting them a letter and sending that out to them. In terms of business, this is a blessing in disguise because it's forcing us to be creative and it's forcing us to take a disciplined approach in terms of how we are doing our business and could we be doing something different? And so there are a lot of really good things, but it's uncomfortable. I mean, growth is uncomfortable. It's painful. I'm very much somebody who loves to be in this box and don't move me. I'm comfortable in this box. So that's a good thing.
That's funny. Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. I think it's wonderful. And I do think it's wonderful taking the time to be able to articulate with family and friends and people you care about. One thing that I do the night before Lauren was born, I wrote her a letter. And I've been doing that every year the night before her birthday. And so one day when she's, your daughter's age and she's having these major life experiences happen, whether it's going off to college or whatever, being able to give her this like box of letters just because, I don't know. It's just
that gave me chills. But those are things in life, Chris, that are literally more precious than gold.
Yeah.
I mean, your daughter will have those all of her life. When she's 40 years old and experiencing something, she'll pull that out. And that's the stuff. And you know what it is, Chris? It's just taking the time to do it. And like if I had a letter like that from my mom or my dad, I mean, I would pay any amount of money if it was like this trade. Hey, Katie, you could have this letter or you could have $5,000. I would take the letter. I mean,
Well, I thought a lot about like when I had these major life moments and there were a lot of times where, I felt alone. And what is nice about a letter is that it gives you the ability to maybe feel less alone and to have one of the things that I think we can do with these videos and all the content and things we put out is it doesn't just give us ways to reach more people, but it also gives us something to leave behind. It gives us something that our kids or our grandkids or somewhere down the road could watch something and say, oh, that was my dad or that was my grandfather, that was whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing that letters do. It gives us the chance to leave behind some legacy and some intention in our story.
Yes. Well, it's so interesting. I mean, when I look back on my life, first of all, every step that I've taken has led me to what I'm doing now. I mean, I honestly believe with my whole heart, it's my destiny. But a handful of years before I'm doing what I do now, I had an idea of a company just called Tell Me Your Story, because the human story is so powerful. It has this ability, and I wrote this in my pub note. I don't know if it's come out yet. I think it did. Where when you hear someone's story, it stops time. At least for me, it does. because it's like, oh my gosh, they're a real person just like me. But to catalog that, an elderly person, when they die, all of those memories and those stories and their voice and how they met their significant other and how they experienced time that none of us will ever get back, nor can we comprehend what it was like. When they pass, all of that goes with them.
Yeah.
It's gone forever. And so, to catalog somehow, and StoryCorps was the inspiration for this idea, on NPR, so moving, like my favorite thing, to just document that for posterity. So a grandchild can listen. Can you imagine hearing your great, great, great grandfather's voice and, their story of coming to America, or how much, would my voice sound like my great, great, great grandma? I don't know, it's my personality a lot like them. So just the, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm passionate about people's story for sure.
Yeah, it's special. Do you study or have you read much about Simon Sinek?
I've seen the TED Talk, but beyond that, Chris, not really.
So when you talked about this last week, where you talked about, what's your why, and he really breaks down the why, and he breaks down that, there's three things. There's this golden circle. It's like a bullseye, and the outer circle is the is what. So if somebody asks you what you do, you tell them. And then we talk sometimes about the how we do what we do, but very few of us actually can articulate, like from here, why we do what we do. And the why is what allows us to connect as human beings. And the why is the storytelling. What you're talking about with telling the story, it connects in a different part of the brain than the what and the how. And that's why stories are so impactful. And it's also how we've evolved for the last few millions of years, sitting around and telling stories from one generation to the other, our lineage and our history, and that's how our brains have evolved.
Yeah, that's right.
And so being impactful with our storytelling and how we articulate to people, just to connect first and foremost as human beings, but then secondly, okay, here's how we align, or here's how we go, or here's what we're doing. But it's really powerful, and it's really effective when someone can articulate the why of anything.
Yes, very much. Well, and last year, something that was impactful that I got to do last year was I went to a Tony Robbins conference, and kind of along this same subject a little bit, Chris. I learned something. One of my favorite approaches with him is it's like, it's not revolutionary, but it's simple.
Yeah.
And I think we've probably, maybe most of us have heard, the 6 basic, universal, and human needs, and approaching individuals based on that knowledge. And that really, I don't know, that was one of the most impactful revelations I had last year. And those 6 basic human needs are certainty, and we all need these: uncertainty, the need for significance, love and connection, and then spiritual needs, growth and contribution. And all of us have a couple of those at the forefront of how we live. And actually, if you don't have growth and contribution as your most, important key focuses of your needs, you'll find yourself frustrated. And so that was such a big deal for me. And it's, it's how you can approach people in your business, people that are different from you. Can you pick up, is their human need significance? And so maybe that's why they're a little bit over the top or crass, or they're really looking for a need to be recognized or feel significant. Is it love and connection? So just interesting. It was cool to come back and figure out what my daughters were, so you can better relate then to her and what her 2, most important needs are.
Does that fall under an umbrella of like purposefulness, do you think? Is it identifying what your core purpose is?
I think it lines up. It's on the same track for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's just how I live my life. I think we have to approach our business on a human level, and also from a psychological posture, or at least for me, I think your business doesn't have the ability to last as long and certainly be, not as fulfilling, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, and I've worked for companies where we all work with people and we deal with people. So you have to approach it from a human level. When you put money at the forefront, it just doesn't work, in my opinion. It just doesn't work. The longevity, you have frustrated people, you have frustrated employees, and your clients can feel if you're leading from the heart or not, kind of what's important to you. They know it, they can sense it. It becomes part of your culture.
I think that's what we're going to see come out the other side of a lot of this too, is think that we're going to see a lot of that. I think my hope is we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see a lot of the varnish kind of this, I think that stuff is going to really be impacted by this. And my hope is that we can begin to come more from a place of the heart, as a society. And you're seeing right now, you're seeing markets collapse, like traditional economy-based markets like oil are just collapsing, and how that's going to affect things moving forward, where we have some hope into maybe looking at alternative ways to do things that can still be capitalistic, but capitalism at the sake of environmentalism is just lazy. So, like coming up with better solutions to how we grow economies and societies based around setting intentions that are good for these kids and these grandkids. And
I agree. And I think, you and I are of similar age, where we do have this rear view lens where we can see, I have seen the culture shift, in that regard, from the 90s even, to now. So that is, and I think, like you said, this circumstance will shift that even more. And I think people have realized what their tolerance is for it. I mean, we all do what everyone else is doing for the most part. That's what society does. Well, we've all been forced to take a step back from that, which is, I think, going to be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree. Because I don't plan these, and I do a really poor job of kind of setting up like a outline of this. I probably should have introduced you. I just assume that everyone knows you and knows what you do.
It's cool.
I mean, how do you, what's your elevator pitch? How do you explain to, if someone didn't know you, how do you talk through that?
Okay. So I'm the owner and publisher of Real Producers. I'm
going to critique your elevator pitch right now.
Oh God, Chris.
In real time.
And I know you're going to be honest, so you can give it to me. We are a relationship building platform. Okay. And, basically centered around making connections in the real estate community. And it is centered around the top 500 producing real estate agents in Columbus. So, we have, I think, around 8,000. So it's just this small percentage, after the 500th person. And actually the 500th person is doing about 29 transactions a year. So that's pretty darn good. But, that top percent is doing most of the business in Columbus. And we do that through our monthly publication. Mainly our focus is to tell the personal story of an agent, kind of to degeneralize that agent and make them, they're a real person. And one of my favorite things in meeting these agents is, again, the story. There are stories that of determination, and every one of these folks had a moment and a decision they could have quit. Just really incredible human beings. Mm-hmm. And then we also make connections through our affiliate partners. Everything we do for our agents is at no cost. So this does not exist without our affiliate partners, such as yourself, Chris. So, and those are the best of the best in Columbus. We don't just sign on any affiliate into the publication. They have to be referred to us by an agent. And we want that affiliate to value relationships over transactions, because we know those affiliates that don't, and we don't want to partner with those folks. So we do that through the publication, and then we do quarterly events to foster relationships.
So, that I think what you guys do is great, and I think that you're phenomenal, and you did a really good job articulating the what and the how.
Oh, that's good.
But what about the why? Why do you do what you do?
The why for me is, oh my gosh, it's my life's passion, is to tell people's stories and to connect people. It's my favorite thing when I meet a realtor who's like another realtor, and I can be like, dudettes, like, you have to know each other. You have similar drive, or you have similar interests, or you're just amazing human beings, and you need to know each other, because there's currency and connection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have learned that so much in the past year. That's probably been my biggest valuable takeaway, Chris. And when you can make a connection with somebody, and somebody kind of vets them for you before you even meet them, you immediately like that journey of the relationship. And for my affiliates too, when I can be like, okay, hey, do you know this realtor? You guys are like-minded, similar in business approach. So I get to do that on two facets, with my affiliates and realtors, and with my realtors and realtors. I just did it yesterday between two affiliate partners. Mm-hmm. Because of who they are as people. Mm-hmm. So that's my why. And my favorite thing, like, it gives me chills when I have somebody say, Katie, I was at your event and I met so-and-so realtor. And, I have story after story where valuable connections have been made, not only for relationships, but for business. So that's my why.
Good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm so blessed. Oh my word.
So outside of work, outside of your, what are you doing? What are you doing for your self-care right now? What's your morning routine? You mentioned the morning routine earlier. What's your morning routine look like?
Well, every day, I'll get back to the morning piece, but being active and working out is something really important to me. I know myself, and it's kind of one of the only ways I can get out of my head. I can sense when I'm like, I need to go for a run.
Move the body, the physical.
Yes. Yeah. So I do that for self-care. I do like to read. Leaders are readers, and so I do like to read.
It's catchy. It's catchy.
Yes. I can't take credit for that either. I heard that from somewhere else. But my morning routine, as of late this morning, I have an app on my phone, and I've learned, Chris, that, again, coming from the different than it was 10 years ago. I have ADD pretty badly because we're interrupted all the time. And so I think the self-discipline of choosing to stay focused is more challenging than ever. So I've found that audible listening and is really helping me stay focused. There's an app, and it's called Pray As You Go. And they have actually a series relating to the pandemic. So the week 1, week 2, and every day there is an audible, it's like 10 minutes, where it will talk about a verse, and it will talk about focus and kind of focus you on what you should pray about that day. So that's really been helping me in the mornings. Felicia Oldreeve, what up, girl? Love you. She recommended I think it's Brandon Bouchard. I could be butchering that name so bad. But a daily journal about what are your intents for the day. And so I ordered that this week too, because I need to get better at it, Chris. I'm very much a to-do list person. So I kind of set my intention for the day and do my best to complete that for the day.
That's cool. And definitely shout out to Felicia.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, she's legit.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, what else is going on? What can I do for you?
This is all I need, Chris. This has been really awesome. You know how much I adore you, and you don't need to do anything else for me. This is awesome. This is an honor to be on this today.
Well, cool. And I have an update for you on the other thing that we were talking about too. So I'll update. We can chat about that offline before.
Okay, good. That was on my mind today.
Online. There's an update on that, and I think it's a good update. I think it's something that I think it'll be exciting when we're ready to announce it to folks and talk about some things that we can be doing collaboratively to bring value to people, because I know you and I are both very value first type people and individuals. And, you know, I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate what you do for the community, but more so than any of that, I just appreciate you as a human being. So thank you for being in my world and existence. And, you know,
same, man, same, 100%.
Cool. Well, I'll let you have the rest of your day back. I know that you were terrified of having this conversation with me today because I'm so scary.
Stop it right now. Not at all.
It had to be worrisome for you though, because you're such a planner and such a like wanting to detail. And I intentionally like didn't let you do that.
I know. Dude, I was ready. I'm like, I have an idea of what he might say, and so I was ready. Dude, you can ask Bobby Wright. It is one of my best qualities, but it can hang me up.
It's amazing. I was hoping that you were going to have like this outline of what you wanted to talk about so I could completely like throw you off script.
I have to tell you, so one of my favorite things about human beings, I don't know, I probably should have been a psychologist in my other life, but thank God we're not all the same, right? Like you and I make this perfect, because although you lead with your heart, Chris, like something you mentioned to me on our call this week was about you're data driven.
Yeah.
Which is that's really awesome, dude. And that's how you lead a successful business. You have to have that side of you, but also the heart. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why you are so successful. One of the reasons, Chris, and I could do better with that. I'm not so good with leading with data. I'm like, let's Pollyanna everything and let's lead with our heart all the time. And I am getting better with that. You have to be smart.
The main reason is I've learned over the years is it's just too costly to not.
That's right.
And it's it's such a waste of time and resources that are always limited for everyone.
Yeah.
If I have a feeling about something and I don't validate it or invalidate it and I'm wrong, then all I've done is cost everyone time, energy, and money. And when you start taking money from other people in ways of investment for companies or software or whatever, you don't have the luxury of wasting people's money.
Yes.
So you have to get good. When you sit down, you want to say hi?
Hi. Oh, I love your pajamas. That's one of my favorite movies, The Little Mermaid.
We're working on getting her out of pajamas, but it didn't go very far. Can you say hi to Katie?
Hi, baby.
She's my co-host when we do these.
I love it. I love your hair so much. Oh, her hair is so cute.
She's lucky she's cute.
She's so cute. Yeah. So cute.
Yeah, but that's the reason. The reason is it's just too expensive. And, you know, especially I talk with the realtors about this all the time too. And the biggest asset they have is their time. It's the most expensive thing they have is their time. And so if you make assumptions based on what you think is right versus what your clients are asking for, it's just a waste of resources.
Yes. I mean, most of the time you should be the one that's not taught, like they should be talking to you. And it's definitely something I'm better at. Like I'm actually, ironically, a slightly impatient person. I hate wasting time. Mm-hmm. Don't like wasting time. So I know that I can be direct at times because it's like, let's get to the point. You know, either, you know, I feel like this is going to work or it's not going to work. Yeah. So I can appreciate that for sure. And I've been a property manager in my former life. So I have thicker skin that might be perceived. I can get a bit sassy. No doubt.
That's funny.
So.
Well, it was wonderful to speak with you as always.
You too, Chris.
I'm glad we could do this.
Me as well.
And I will let you get back to your quarantine.
Okay. Sounds good.
Do not work too hard.
All right, Chris. Thank you. Same to you. We'll talk soon.
Bye, Katie.
Okay, bye.